Whilst I am a huge advocate of using social media to build your brand, promote your music, and eventually build opportunities and monetize, there are complexities, especially when you are dealing with more than one person in a shot. If you are a solo artist, it is a lot easier to fit yourself in to the classic portrait view. When you are a band, there's more people. Not only that, but you are dealing with a lot of logistics. Trying to get 3, 4, or even 5 people to turn up at the same time, coherently wearing the right things is difficult. Trust me, the amount of photo shoots and video shoots that I have been on over the years with bands where someone turns up and goes, yeah, I forgot my clothes. And someone else turns up and said, I didn't know what to wear, so I brought my entire wardrobe. And you spend ages sifting through things, trying to kind of figure stuff out. Then you're dealing with the committee. I think we should do this. I don't think we should do this. I think that's cheesy. I think we should do this. All of a sudden you start arguing and it loses a lot of traction. It takes a lot of time. So then there's the comfort levels of being on camera. You might find as the singer, you're used to being on stage, you're used to being performing in front of people. Whereas the bass player might think, well, I didn't kind of sign up for that. I kind of signed up to be stood at the background playing some bass. And all of a sudden I'm thrust into the camera and you want me to perform like some kind of performing monkey. Then you need your props, probably your instruments. Because if you have 3, 4, 5 people just wandering around, it looks a bit weird unless you're like a boy band or a girl band, so therefore you have your instruments. But now, not only have you got to fit the people in, but you've got to fit the instruments in. And if you're dealing with guitar, bass, drums, potentially microphone, that is a lot of stuff from a logistical nightmare, as well as fitting everything into a portrait view. So what do? In this video, we are going to not only look at some solutions to make this as easy as possible, but we are going to look at several pieces of social media from different bands and pick them for different reasons, so then you can rip those off and you can take these ideas into your own to help you build as quick as possible. Now, the first thing we need to do is think about research, and that means I need you on TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, depending on where your audience is or where the type of genre that makes content is, and I want you to go and looking for the type of content that you feel comfortable so that you can share it. Nothing drains time on a shoot than not being sure on what to do. I want you to be able to turn up and say, I know exactly what we are aiming for, and that takes research. So setting up some research time so that everyone can come and bring these ideas and say, what do you think of these ideas? I like this, I don't like that. You can take away anything that you don't like, so you've got a bunch of ideas to say, this is the type of content that we are going for. It's so important to fit in the style of content that you feel comfortable with so that you can start to build doing the same thing, building that routine. I recently had a comment from someone on a YouTube video, and they just said, so what, I'm supposed to just walk through a car park just miming my video? And I was thinking, well, that's an option. Yeah, it does work. But if that's not for you, then no, there's loads of ideas. That's the same thing as me going, I want to get into music. Oh, so I have to make pop music. And you go, well, not if you don't want to. That's just a construct in your mind. When it comes to socials, you could do live, you could do mimed, you could do behind the scenes, you could do tour footage. Like, there's so many ideas. What we're dealing with, just a moment in time that you're saying, what can I do that's going to bring people value, that's going to get that discovery, that's going to bring people into my world so that I can look after them more. If you don't like the idea of walking down the street, well, there's loads of other ideas. The next thing after research is planning, and I promise you, this is the answer. Whenever I go into shoots, I do shoots probably 2, sometimes 3 times a week, and when I go into a shoot, I don't want to turn up and say, what are we doing? What are we doing, guys? It doesn't work. What I want to do is I want to have everything on my notes, either on my phone or on a piece of paper. So I can say, these are the songs we're promoting. These are the areas of the songs I want to promote. This is the lyrics and the subject matter. So I know if there are hooks, if we are doing hooks, I want to know what props, I want to know what locations, I want to know what time of day. If it's all planned out, it means that none of the pressure is on the video shoot. And if I can just be left to go and get 20 or 30 pieces of content from one video shoot, then I can make that really fun. And the anxiety then gets taken away. I think a lot of this anxiety comes in from going, I don't know what to do or when to do it, but I need to shoot something. And that's when you end up going, I'll just shoot something, or I'll do a selfie of myself and then I'll throw it out there. The numbers don't work, and you go, oh, that didn't work. And I'm like, well, you didn't really plan anything. You didn't put the work in. Whereas you can make these video shoots so much fun. I love video shoots. They're brilliant fun to go out for an hour, hour and a half with an artist outside and make some content. We have a whale of a time, a really good laugh, and it doesn't have to be full of anxiety. Which leads me on to clothes, which is always the bane of my life, because someone turns up not looking quite right, or they haven't brought any clothes. Someone turns up with like some crumpled up shirt, and I'm like, oh, this looks terrible. Same thing with beards, makeup, hair. Like, you need to plan for this. Like, this is you saying, I am an artist. This is my brand. This is who I am. You need to believe in me. So therefore, you need to believe in you. And I want everyone who turns up, especially when you have to have some kind of coherentness with everyone in the band, I want everyone to know what they're going to wear. And so therefore, a simple WhatsApp group beforehand to say, look, I'm going to wear this. What's everyone else wearing? Does that work for you? Does that fit in? It doesn't clash. These things are really, really important. Don't forget, this is like a first impression for your band or you as an artist. So therefore, what you wear is a big, big seller. Now, we discussed the negatives of having multiple people doing socials, but there are positives, which is you get to define the roles. As an artist, you live and die by every decision that you make, and you are in charge of everything. Whereas if you've got 3, 4, or 5 people in a band, you can define some roles. You can say you're in charge of locations, you're in charge of hooks, you're in charge of organizing the crew, you're in charge of snacks. Like, you can start to organize the whole thing and give everyone a sense of purpose, so everyone feels like they have that purpose, and then they're more willing to kind of get involved and make this more fun process. Now, a question for you. Does everybody in the band need to be in every piece of content? The answer is obviously not. But when you are together, you can make a batch of content. And then when you're not together, the singer probably, or maybe if there's like a really great guitar solo and you want to film that, you can do those separately, so you can take those out. So why not make content as a group and then have different times where you are making content as a solo singer for representing that band? Now, a really big tip is to create templates. Now, what I mean by this is what most artists do when they are doing social media is they'll throw something out, it doesn't work, so they try something else. So when I'm looking through their socials, trying to think of what to do, I'm like, you're just throwing loads of things at the wall. The problem is you're throwing something at the wall, you're not giving it enough time to see if it works, and then you're trying something else. So there's no real coherency around what you're doing. Now, what I suggest is you come up with a couple of ideas and you perfect those ideas. You do them 10, 15, 20 times, looking at improving the 1% at a time, so that when you've done it 20 times, if that isn't working, you can say, okay, let's try another idea. Rather than just on a Monday, you've got a live, on a Tuesday, you're doing behind the scenes, on a Wednesday, you're doing a mimed video. What we're doing here is we're just throwing anything out there, hoping for the best. We want to remove the hope, and we want to build what I call templates. When we can go through and say, that works, so therefore there's something in it. Not, it's got millions of numbers, but it works. Something happened, and I like the look of it, which is that's a good way of measuring success. This looks really cool. I like this. I want more of this. Go and film it. Go and see what's coming out of it. And don't forget, what we are looking for when it comes to measuring success is not just the number in the corner, how many this went out to, the organic reach. It's also who comes through and just goes, this is awesome, or I really like this, or thank you so much, or where can I get this? Like, these are trigger points. These are telling you success leaves clues. So follow the success. Which leads me on to another point, which is don't reinvent the wheel. I understand that you're a creative and you want to be creative, but if you bring that into socials, it gets very, very hard very quickly. I suggest that the creativity goes into your songwriting, it goes into your artistry, it goes into your lyrics. When it comes to your social media, it's more important to be good as well as consistent than it is to be creative and reinvent the wheel. You don't need to be unique, you need to be good. And my last and possibly most important tip before we start looking through some case studies is this needs to be enjoyable, because if it's not enjoyable, you won't want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, then the promotions aspect of what you're doing, building music, gets really, really tough. So in the same way as music videos can be fun, gigs and tours can be fun, writing songs, going in the studio can be fun. Therefore, going out and filming some stuff as a group of people together can be fun if you make it fun. Your job is to find that balance of enjoyment. So let's look at a bunch of examples that do different types of content so you can see what works, what doesn't, and possibly even steal some of these ideas to bring into your own social media promotion. Now, this first example is an artist that we shot ourselves who was about to go on tour. As you can see, it's in the rehearsal room. So the artist is rehearsing. It helps that the drummer was playing to track, so therefore it meant that everything was in time. But you can see it's a one shot. You can see that it's real. You can see it's in a rehearsal room. You can see that there's guitar. You can see that there's drums. It's still focusing on this being as real as possible. So whilst a lot of artists are concentrating on TikTok being cheesy or Instagram Reels just not really giving a really good kind of presence and representation of the artist or the band, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, that's what I'd want to see. I want to see a really cool artist doing really cool things. And in this case, if you are rehearsing, then you are doing something that you're already there doing, but you can now capture it very, very simple. There was no edits. It was just a one take. We probably got about, I don't know, 10, maybe 15 pieces of content within a space of about 30 or 40 minutes, packed up, let him get on with it, and started putting them out over a period of time. Now, this second piece of content is a band called Magnolia Park. I'm a huge fan. I love these guys. What I love about them is they take the creative side, and when I say creative, I mean the production quality side of their promotion very, very seriously. And as you can see by this video, this is not a rehearsal room. This is a room, but they've set up, you can see the carpet, you can see the furniture, but it's got great movement, great camera angle, and again, you can see everyone in it. So it's nice and simple. Set the band up. You could probably do this over an hour. You could probably go and get 15, 20 pieces of content very similar to this with different songs that you have, possibly even some different costume changes. But to me, this is a really strong piece of content. Again, one take, a little bit of color grading, some really cool lyrics over the top, a little bit of a hook. Job's done. So again, it doesn't have to be that kind of cheesy, I'm doing a TikTok dance. This next example is a man called Papa Roach. What can I say? I'm a massive fan. But what's really great about this piece of content is this is just the singer. It doesn't have to be the full band. And yes, he's just walking down the street. So when someone says, oh, it's really cheesy, I'm like, well, if this guy can make it not look cheesy, then surely if it's cheesy, it's probably on you rather than on the idea. I love the color grade. I love the fact that it's so simple, so easy, 30 to 40 seconds. Probably could do it in different parts of the world when you're on tour. It's a great piece of content, nice and simple, and you could probably batch these and do multiple in one go. Now, one thing I say about doing socials is you don't necessarily have to create specifically for socials. You can just do your thing and then film it for socials. This is an example of a live show filmed from side of the stage, showing the energy and the excitement and the passion of these guys performing live. The band feel really great content, really, really simple, filmed from side of the stage. I mean, it couldn't be simpler, but you can see this is the real thing. It's a real band. Now, what's even more important is because the AI side of these things is picking up and getting easier and easier, it means that you can start to SEO or even point this towards the old AI algorithm for what it is, which is a really great rock band with instruments in. And if it starts to understand what it is and the people start to understand what it is, it starts to show it to the right people. But what I love about this example is you didn't have to set anything up. You could just say, look, we're going to go on tour, we're going to do gigs, and we're going to let the gigs and the audience and the reaction and the energy speak for itself. Now, what happens if you are not gigging or not on tour? Well, what about this as a great example from Porch Life? They are outside in the sun, playing live, showing off everybody in the band, playing their own songs, showing their talent. It couldn't be easier or simpler. They are tight enough to get away with it, and they've set up a shot which is nice and easy that if they want to, they could replicate several times. Now, I love this example showing off that the singer doesn't always have to be the star of the show. Simple plan, doing an Avril Lavigne cover with an amazing shred solo. The tour bus is in the background. It's a little bit edited. It's got some nice lighting. But I'm like, what an amazing piece of content. What an amazing idea. This, to me, is a way that you can get a lot of eyes, a lot of virality, and at the same time, show off exactly who you are and what you do with just one person being there. Now, I already know someone's going to say, but I don't have a tour bus and I don't have a lighting rig. No, but you get the idea. It's really simple. It's an outside shot. It's dark. There's a light. There's lights outside. And then the guitarist is basically miming along to that piece of music that he's already created, looking cool. And I'm like, It's 18 seconds. It's so easy. It shows off what you can do. It gets eyes on the prize, and it's going to make people go, hey, I didn't know you did that. And then they're going to come in, they're going to see more content, and hopefully we can start to push them across to Spotify. Now, this one is definitely harder, but it brings a lot of value, more than just discovery. So this is Meet Me at the Altar. They are on tour, so they've done a tour diary. And it's like, come with us as we go on tour. And it takes you on a behind the scenes of the tour. And they have filmed a lot through the day, and they've edited it into a piece of content. But it shows everything about how great this band are. You've got showing off the lifestyle, the rock and roll, how cool they are. You can see them play live when they're sound checking. The whole thing is basically an advert for who they are and what they do. And at the same time, it's going to bring value so that if you are a fan of that band, you're going to say, I'm definitely going to watch all of this. You might even send it to people. And that to me is not only discovery content, but it's really, really solid for value content. And lastly, but not leastly, for anyone who says this micro content promotion is just for teenagers doing dance things. No, it's absolutely not. These guys are friends of mine from Canada called Fatal Vision. They are, they're not teenagers, but they're very passionate about music. And so therefore, they're doing the right thing. They're showing off their music. They're building a fan base. They have a loyal fan base who genuinely love what they're doing, which allows them to build up opportunities, sell records in places like Japan and other areas, all because they're playing the game, which goes to show that excuse of this is all for teenagers doesn't fly anymore. When it comes to making content to promote you and your music, most artists are creatives and they overthink. What's really important here is that we pick the angle, pick something that we feel comfortable with, and then build in that consistency and start to learn how it works. And don't forget, the reason why we are doing this is so we can build an audience and a fan base, not to get just vapid numbers. We're doing this so when someone comes through to you and goes, oh, this is awesome, I love it, we can start that conversation. We can look after that people. That's what building a fan base is. We're basically fishing for those comments, for that engagement. We're fishing for those people. So let's not overthink it. Let's keep content so it's fun, enjoyable, and it does the job that it's supposed to do. Now, if you are in a band, in fact, if you're just making some great content, stick it down below. I'd love to see it. I'm always looking for new artists, new ideas for when I'm doing filming. Feel free to get involved in the comments and send me some links so I can have a look at your content. Otherwise, thanks for watching. If you're in a band, get on these platforms, and I'll see you guys soon.